Hello learners, welcome to the second session of the November month current affair. In the second session, we discuss the structure already we have kept in place with our first month's video. All the videos are on YouTube now. So the second month, we are discussing governance. So as we discussed, the sevenfold division, first the initiatives, the institutions, the flagship schemes, apps and portals, and policies, then funds, and finally the state government initiatives, right? We start with the initiatives and programs. First thing is National Digital Library of India. Now it is the part of the overall Digital India theme, not formally into Digital India theme, but overall making available everything on a digital platform, and especially this education thing. What? So with the help of the IIT Kharagpur, they are trying to make digital education resource available to all citizens of country to empower, inspire, and encourage learning. So basically, what they are trying to do, it is within the framework of Pade Bharat, Bade Bharat commitment of the government, a single window platform that will collate the metadata from premier learning institutions from abroad. Remember this from PREEM perspective, from abroad as well as other relevant source. So the digital repository will contain the data from different sources, whether it be textbooks, the articles, the videos, the audios, the book, lecture, simulation, fiction, so many data. Just like early initiative of Shodh Ganga. If you have Googled Shodh Ganga, so you'll find many good articles written by some scholars, some PhD scholars, or the it has contains a lot of repository of these PDFs. For example, you can see the portal here. So this digital library, you can log in here and you can have a lot of learning resources on this particular web portal. Okay. Next is Swachh Shakti program. Now, though program has been 2017, but due to Swachh Bharat Abhiyan competing in October 2019 on 150th birth anniversary of Gandhiji. So this program was iterated as one of the success stories, right? In which the convention of the women sarpanch was made, and they were seen as a champion of change to empower the other women in that area, and from women to the household. So the whole point of getting this open defecation free and making sure the sustainability of the sanitation, they played a very crucial role. So they focus on the leadership role provided by the rural women in the Swachh Bharat Abhiyan, right? So it was done in the 2017 and also repeated again in the 2018-19 as well. But it was iterated as one of the success stories of the Swachh Bharat campaign. That is why it is in the current affairs. Next, iPrism program. iPrism program. So first edition has been held. It is a second edition. So what it is for? It is an intellectual property competition for the students of schools, polytechnic institutions, college, and the universities. So the background of this current affair is the overall IPR framework of India. In 2016, our IPR policy is released, right? So under this IPR policy, the idea was given that we should have these competition among the people to generate more patents, right? You will see so many initiatives taken by the government over the towards this patent thing, and thus it becomes very important as well. So it is a CPAM, Cell for IPR Promotion and the Management, in collaboration with ASSOCHAM and Ericsson India. So remember these agencies as well, right? So it is the second edition. The competition is for the resident of India only, not from the people from outside India. So the tagline you can see: imagine, innovate, and inspire. CPAM under which department? Department of Industrial Policy and Promotion. So DIPP, right? Very important department. In fact, it is under the Ministry of Commerce and Industry. Okay. Next is Z scheme, very famous scheme. Mr. Narendra Modi, our honorable Prime Minister, has launched it. So zero effect and zero defect. So zero effect and zero defect. So from effect, he is saying, the scheme is saying, effect means environmental sustainability of the product being made, and zero defect means the quality of the product. So enrich the quality and the bringing about the quality and the excellence in the product through zero defect, and zero effect means environmental sustainability, right? In this lesson, in this session, we're going to see a lot of initiatives taken by the Ministry of MSME, because MSME is very relevant. If you are preparing for the exam, you know, whether it be prelims or whether it be mains, a lot of focus is on the MSMEs because they are a silent engine of the Indian economic growth. Every year there is a chapter on MSME, how to strengthen our MSME, uh, how to cater to the challenges felt by MSME, whether it be cash flows and other. In the budget video that is on your YouTube channel, also a lot of announcement has been made for the MSMEs. So keep in mind for those MSME announcement for your current affair this year's prelims. So this scheme is for Ministry of MSME, the financial support to MSME in the ZE8 certification. So certification will be given to the MSMEs to encourage MSMEs to upgrade their quality standards in adopting zero defect production process without impacting the government. So this is the defect area and this is the effect area. Okay. So 22,000 MSME have registered under the ZED scheme. Next, again MSME, Udyog Aadhaar Memorandum. So Aadhaar for the Udyog, from the name itself, Udyog means business. So it's a one-page registration to get registered at MSME. One of the biggest problem faced by the Indian manufacturing sector and the MSME in specific is the long process and the red tapeism in the registration process itself. So the process has been reformed and it is based upon the idea of self-certification, right? So we'll have just one page registration, and along with that so many reforms have come. You must have heard of it, like 59 minutes you can get a loan of, right? Loan very easily, and so many other initiatives. We'll see many of them today. So type is self-certification, single page online registration, mobile friendly, no documentation required, no fees for Udyog Aadhaar. So Ministry of MSME, Udyog Aadhaar, so the same thing, self-declaration, register online, no documentation required. I've taken the screenshot of the website itself. So Udyog Aadhaar, you will get your Aadhaar number, PAN number, you just fill your form and you are done, you are registered. Next, Aspire scheme. So it's an old scheme, but as we are taking the Ministry of MSME video, Ministry of MSME initiative, so we have some few of these schemes here. So scheme for promotion of the innovation, rural industry and entrepreneurship, Aspire. A framework for startup promotion via network of technology centers and incubation commercialization of business idea program. So in the name itself, it is clear that they are talking about the innovation and entrepreneurship. Let me tell you why these schemes become relevant, because this year economic survey and discuss the whole theme of economic survey revolves around the wealth creation and the trust the government and the people need to put on the private sector, along with the moral trust by the government, moral hand of trust by the government, right? So it will be a framework for the startup promotions via a network of technology centers, incubation and commercialization of the business idea program. It contains the from the Ministry of MSME. So what are the objectives? You can see the objectives. First, create new jobs and reduce unemployment, promote entrepreneurship culture in India, grassroots economic development at the district level, and facilitate innovative business solution for unmet social needs, promote innovation to further strengthen the competitiveness of the MSME sector. So try to bring out the innovation aspect of the MSME sector. Give them a platform, give them an incubation center. Okay. The next is Global Housing Technology Challenge. So it is done by the Ministry of Housing and the Urban Poverty and Alleviation. Under this program, the center will offer 150 crores as a technology innovation grant to build 6,000 homes. So these 6,000 homes will be built up uh, using the alternative technologies, and the material. So it will be based upon the idea of sustainable houses. And these houses, the center will help, center and state government will help, and these houses will act as a model house. And the model house, it will help to, from the model itself, it will help to uh, create a demonstration effect on the other, so that government puts one step ahead and from there the private sector picks up and they start, for example, builders pick it up to make a premium based households and to sell it to the people, right? So Global Housing Technology Challenge, because one of the main problem is facing the world is the private problem of climate change, right? And one of the important area of climate change is urban households. Urban household contribute to most to the growth, urban areas, and also they contribute most to the climate change as well. And on the other hand, they face the most of the problems due to the climate change, whether it be urban floods or the um, that heat house effect, right? So the the urban area is getting heated, concrete jungles, right? No percolation of water into the pavement, causing the urban floods we experienced in Chennai, experienced in Gurgaon, sorry, right? So, global housing technology challenge is aimed at introducing the best technology to construct the houses quickly and at the lower price. Okay, center and state will provide assistance of 1.5 lakh crore. The more importantly, what you need to know, this global housing technology challenge is ministry responsible, which is the ministry responsible of what they are trying to do. Not too much detail is not required. Next, real-time train information system. So it is developed by Center of Railway Information System with the help of the Indian Space ISRO and their initiative of Gagan. I hope you know Gagan. It's a very static thing. Gagan is the geo augmented and G, GPS operated navigation system given by the AAI and ISRO. AAI and ISRO, right? So this Gagan will be used by this railway system. Okay, this is global positioning system aided and geo augmented navigation system, right? Originally developed for the traffic air management. So from air traffic to now they are using it for the rails, Gagan system. Okay, to monitor the precise speeds and the movement throughout the journey from first point to the destination point. So the mapping of the railways can be done quickly, and from that, which train is getting late, what are the problems, they can be tracked, right? Okay. Details: 500 passenger locomotives on the had been fitted for the newly developed. Not very important, but just you need to know that Gagan is not only now focusing only on the air part, but also on the railway part, right? So this is the whole mechanism which will they will try to get it. It's a more science and tech stuff, but you need to know the government scheme stuff, which agency is implementing it, how Gagan is involved, because Gagan basically is focused majorly on the earlier for the air traffic control. That is why AAI was working with the ISRO. Next, Bharatiya Poshan Krishi Kosh. Poshan Krishi Kosh. Krishi means agriculture. Kosh means some sort of fund basically, but here fund is not talked about. So more importantly, from the name itself, it seems that Krishi Kosh, so it will be Ministry of Agriculture. No, it is not. It is the Ministry of Women and Child Development, because they are talking about the portion. So nutrition is talked about, and one of the most important stakeholder with respect to nutrition are mother and children. So it is a repository of the diverse crop across the 128 climatic zone in India for better nutritional outcomes. So they will create a repository for this diverse crops. Now, one of the main solution given to the problem of the malnutrition facing India is the diversification of agriculture itself. So if we can diversify our agriculture, put in more millets, uh, pulses, apart from being cereal centric agriculture, like shed that tendency and move towards the diversification of agriculture, that can hold a great potential not only for the agriculture itself, but also for the nutritional outcomes of the people. So the aim is reducing malnutrition through a multi-sectoral result-based framework, including agriculture among the women and the children across the country. Okay. Next, this is the Mrs. Smriti Irani is sitting, and also it is with respect to Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation is also helping um, this Ministry of Women and Child Development, right? So along with this ministry, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation is also working. Next, Bheem UPI goes international. So Bheem app, which has been revolutionary, so as to say, in bringing this digitalization and banking to the fingertips. Now they are trying to make this international. So they are working. This NPCI is working with the nets of the similar agency of the Singapore. So they have shown a pilot model of Bheem QR based payment system beginning at the ongoing Singapore FinTech Festival. So it is targeted to go live by February 2020. Okay. So what is Bheem? UPI based payment interface developed by NPCI. NPCI itself is an umbrella organization. Actually, question has been asked on NPCI, so I don't think it will be again asked, but just for the sake of covering it. So it's an initiative of RBI and the Indian Banks Association, right? It organization for operating retail payments. Under the provision of, it is a statutory, it's a incorporated for non-for-profit company, and it works under the provision of the Payment and the Settlement Act 2017. Okay, the idea is to create a robust payment infrastructure in India, and NPCI is working on many fronts. For example, IMPS, and there are many initiatives by NPCI. For example, RuPay card is from the NPCI. Next is Swachh Nirmal Tat. Tat means coast, not coast, but the, for example, river, the front, this river, bank of the river. It is called Tat Abhiyan. So this is by MOEFCC to make the beaches. So focus on the beaches, clean and creative awareness among the citizen about the importance of the coastal ecosystem. Benefit at the end of the drive, the best 3 beaches will be suitably awarded along with the certification of the appreciation from all the participating eco hubs. So basically, beaches in India are also not very clean. Recently, one of my friend visited to the Mumbai beaches and they were very unclean, very not clean. No, he felt a lot of resistance to go out in the ocean and take a bath, right? And on the other hand, if we see beaches in down south in Kerala, so we'll see some very clean beaches. So the whole idea of this Swachh Nirmal Tat Abhiyan is to create competition among these eco hubs which are responsible for in the coordination with the municipalities to clean these beaches up. Okay, so there is an awareness drive, include those aware citizens also into this drive, right? Next is 3S project. So center is planning to expand the reach of Smart Safety and Surveillance, or 3S program. So this 3S program means 3S, Smart Safety and Surveillance. It is a project to optimize post-marketing surveillance of the priority drugs and vaccines. So just remember, it is not related to the security aspect, because you can get confused. The question itself the question can be framed in such a way 3S, and they can give you the full form, Smart Safety and Surveillance. So you may think it's maybe related to some border stuff or some technology in the border stuff. No, it is related to the surveillance of the drugs. Okay, recommended by WHO, considering the limited safety data on the vaccines introduced in the India. Details: as part of 3S project, India is evaluating the recently introduced rotavirus vaccine. Right? So India is checking the availability, the surveillance of this rotavirus vaccine, to which how many people it is available, in which fronts it is not available, what regional pockets it is not available. Okay. Next, DRIP project. So first of all, funding of this DRIP project is done by World Bank, state implementing agencies, and Central Water Commission. Central Water Commission is also the implementing authority of this DRIP project. What is DRIP? Dam Rehabilitation Improvement Project. From the name itself, it seems that the project aims at the checking the health of the dams itself. So which dam is like so many dams are very old. What are their status? Do they need any reinforcement? So that if they collapse, there is no big disaster in the making, right? Okay, so it will improve the safety and the operational performance of the selected existing beach and mitigate the risk to ensure safety of the downstream population and their property, right? So they're not covering all the dams, covering only 198 existing structure in the 7 states. It will benefit from the scheme. It is launched in 2017. Okay. Next, so project is in operation in these states, MP, Odisha, Tamil Nadu, this, and now they are increasing the project. More importantly, you need to remember with respect to DRIP, not on the states where it is, how you know expand. No, just remember what it is for. For example, the only name itself can come, DRIP. So from the name itself, you can get confused. It may be related to rainwater harvesting or something. They will plant options like that you'll be get confused. So remember, dam, it is for the dam rehabilitation, and not all the states, few of the dams, trying to increase the domain of the dams, and funded by the World Bank, and implementing agency is CWC, Central Water Commission. Next, CEPOL, that is Center for Biodiversity Policy and Law. Center for Biodiversity Policy and Law. So it is a collaboration between India and Norway. The center to develop professional expertise in the biodiversity topics and laws and develop capacity building, right? So it's a collaboration between India and Norway. Why is it important? Especially in India, when we the problem of GM crops. For example, I'm giving you one of the example. Discuss the implication of GM crops. So the mistrust, the lack of imperial studies on the GM crops, whether they can be useful in Indian conditions, how much impact they're gonna have on the health, the native seeds, and so many other topics. So these agencies will help to curb these suspicions. Also, with respect to GM crops, in the mains you should see what are the pros and the cons. One of the pros is why should we have, because we are already importing a lot of GM crop itself. So why not we have it in our own agricultural system. Next, program implementation plan. So this particular plan has come up with on the National Health Mission, launched in 2005. National Health Mission. It has two components, a rural component and one is urban component. So the process facilitates the planning, approval and the allocation of budget of various programs under the National Health Mission. So the plan is with respect to this mission. Benefits: the monitoring of the PIPs can also enable the measurement of the physical and the financial progress made by the state against the approved PIPs. Right. So the monitoring of these plans is taken so as to measure it. What is the difference between what was planned and what is achieved. Next, IDEX initiative, very important initiative. All the initiatives with respect to defense, keep in mind they are important, right? So innovation for defense excellence. So it is a Ministry of Defense aim to encourage startups in the defense to fund 250 startups and achieve 50 tangible innovation in the next 5 years. Okay, so this is for the startups. So what they're gonna, so the whole defense reform, because in India, as we know, the defense manufacturing is very poor. We take a lot of, in fact, majority of our defense equipment, especially the high-end defense equipment, from the countries like Israel, Russia, now US also. So that it becomes important and pertinent for Make in India to make defense as one of the cornerstone. If the Make in India has to be successful, the defense has to be one of the cornerstones of the manufacturing. So innovation for defense excellence launched in collaboration with Startup India and Atal Innovation Mission. Startup to innovate new technologies to meet the requirement of the defense forces and reduce the dependence on the import. Innovators can moot idea without an obligation to the manufacturer. Okay. Next, National Health Profile 2019. So it's an annual publication of this institute, National Bureau of Health Intelligence, CBHI. From the name itself, it seems. So National Health Profile. So they'll present the profile of the health structure. So it covers all the major information on demography, socioeconomic status, disease, morbidity, healthcare finance, human resource in health and the healthcare infrastructure, right? So they try to cover the major domain where the policy making initiatives have to be made, right? For example, demography. So if it's a very general case that in the southern states, the demography is getting, the age, the median age is on the higher end relative to in the northern area. So we need different type of policy making in the South India than in the North area. One size fits all approach will not work in the health priorities, right? So it's an initiative which is, so all the profiling, the standards are taken on the international standards of the data publication. So it is being recently released. So some of the findings are not very important of this health profile. If you remember, we have discussed some of the findings in the October month index when we're discussing a lot of studies based upon the health profile, health surveys, right? So you'll find recommendation based upon those lines only. Okay. So 14th issue has been released. It takes into account the newly released Ayushman Bharat Health Scheme, National Health Policy, right? Janni Suraksha Yojana, so 2011 old scheme, but it takes into account also the government scheme and their performance as well, right? Next, SIMS. Okay, so first of all, it is comprehensive integrated border management system. From the name itself, so they are trying to provide an integrated border management system. So for the border security, this technological initiative has come into the role. So underlining the role of the technology seems to be deployed on the Pakistan border. They're also mooting to put it on the Bangladesh border also. So what it is basically, SIMS has three components. First component is sensors. Second component is the communication channels, and third is command and control centers. So it will the sensors will take up all the information. It will deploy at the border. It will send the data to command and control center through communication data. And at this level, the manpower will use this data to make a actionable intelligence so as to check that whether any infiltration is there or not. So it will help in the optimization of the resources, because you cannot put manpower at every moment. Also, there is a physical boundaries of the manpower, right? For example, they feel sleepy or something. So in that, technology can help us. So integration of both technological aspect and the manpower to provide a comprehensive outlook to our border management system. So the concept of the CBM, SIMS is to integrate the manpower, sensor and the command and control to improve the situational awareness and facilitate the quick response to the emerging stations. Component, so smart fencing is the web of surveillance, communication and the data storage device. It will enable surveillance during difficult weather as discussed. It will rely on the thermal imaging, infrared and laser based intruder alarm to stop the infiltration. Okay, so currently on the Pakistan border, right? Next scheme is Operation Digital Board done by the MHRD. So basically it is in the last year budget, our finance minister has announced that going for the Operation Digital Board. Recent Yojana also released on February. It's also on the education and the innovation. So in the very first editorial it is written, we want to go beyond this chalk and talk model and transform this traditional way of teaching to get adapted to the new way of teaching paradigms, and this is one of the initiative in this respect. So on the lines of the Blackboard of 1987, started with the purpose of providing minimum basic infrastructure to the primary school. So providing Blackboard to every school. You can imagine how far we have gone, but it's still been like more than 30 years. Aim to provide better digital education to the children, to bridge the digital divide, offer new opportunities and new ways of teaching in the student, set up a one digital interactive board per classroom in government and the government aided institutes by 2022. From 9th class onwards and higher education institution, popularize flipped learning. So which is different from the conventional way of classroom based learning. We invert that. For example, tell our students to make some PPTs or make a digital presentation, right? Through videos, do differently things. Use the digital platform so as to inculcate the creative learning process. Implementing agency for the higher education will be UGC, right? So reforming the teaching learning experience from students of 9th class to the postgraduate. Next is Patent Prosecution Highway Program, PPH program, Patent Prosecution Highway. So Union Cabinet approved a proposal for bilateral patent prosecution highway program between the Indian Patent Office and the patent offices of their interested countries, right? So with this, the disputes over the patents can be resolved, right? For example, the details with this, patent offices of India and Japan, currently Japan, have inked an agreement for the expeditious grant of patent to the Indian entities and individual by entering into a pilot program on PPH for a period of 3 years. Under this program, Indian Patent Office may receive patent application in certain specified technical fields only, while Japan may receive application in all fields of technology, right? For example, currently India and Japan has started this and on a pilot basis for 3 years. And so to make the patent, for example, one of the problem with the patent is national jurisdiction, the laws are fine, but this problem internationally, when one technology is being developed in one area and someone copies it into the other jurisdiction. So these initiatives will be helpful in the IPR protection. For example, Indian entity is there or Japanese entity is there, thinking in the India something happened, right? So it will create more trust also. If some same mechanisms are there, some mechanisms are there, then Japan or XYZ country will be more interested to invest into in India and also go for the technology of transfer. If we have such mechanisms to smoothen the transfer part, right? Next initiative, Study in India initiative. So it is done by the MHRD, make education, India an education hub for the foreign students. Study in India for the foreign students. Now, one of the big announcement came in the budget itself. So I just took the slides of the budget, 2 slides. India should be preferred destination for higher education under India Study in India program. So India has launched its own INDSAT for program. So to study in India, get this exam, qualify this exam, and then you become applicable to apply in Indian universities. To be held in the Asian and the African countries. It shall be used for the benchmarking foreign candidates who receive scholarship for the studying in the Indian higher education center. Okay. So this is the study in India. So INSAT provide scholarship in the Asian African students to study in India. Next scheme is STAR scheme. So by MHRD, scheme for translational and advanced research in the science. Right. So details 500 science project would be funded, coordinated by the Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore. Okay. So from the name itself, it is very clear. MHRD. Just remember, it is not Ministry of Science and Tech. From the name itself, translational research in the science, but it is MHRD. One of the big problems students face, remembering the ministry and the departments, and that is a big issue. So what I'll suggest you that, for example, now you will get a compilation of government schemes also, I agree. But you also make your own notes, add everything in the MHRD, whatever you are getting. Whatever you are getting, the data, for example, STAR schemes, so put it under the MHRD heading. Okay. So the same thing is there with the help of Indian Institute, you can see Department of Higher Education and the Indian Institute of Science. So this one is STAR scheme. Next is Institutions Innovation Council, IIC program, under the innovation cell of the Ministry of MHRD only. So MHRD Institute Innovation Council to encourage, inspire and nurture the young students by exposing them to the new ideas and process, resulting in the innovation activities in their formative years. Right. So more than 100 higher education institutions have already formed their IICs in their campus. So these innovative cells will help the young students to, first of all, the exposure to the new ideas, and if they have any new ideas, it can work as an incubation center or provide them access, link them to the other government schemes. For example, Atal Innovation Mission, Atal New India Challenge. There are some different schemes going on. For example, we discuss iPrism, right? So this center, these institutes innovation council program, it will help. It will be a one-stop shop within that campus. So young students can come to that place and can connect with the other schemes. Next, 5th Indian International Science Festival held in Kolkata. You just need to remember the theme. So, but it is an India International Festival. Okay, it's 5th. So, Risen India, Research, Innovation, Science, Empowering the Nation. So, this is the theme of the Kolkata. So, Mr. Modi has said that Prime Minister, science must meet the rising aspiration of our people. Next, draft industrial guidelines on the digital learning. So under MHRD ministry, UNESCO, with the help of UNESCO and this Mahatma Gandhi Institute of Education and the Education for Peace and Sustainable Development, they have developed this draft guidelines on digital learning. From the very first topic we have seen, National Digital Library of India, to this point. You can see a lot of initiatives in the digital learning, because this year a good report of World Bank also come, that reducing the learning poverty, right? So the learning will be a very important topic. It has always been a very important topic for UPSC, whether it be your ethics, whether it be your prelims, or whether it be your essay topic, right? The problem of learning, because of the Acer report and the recognition by the Niti Aayog as well. The problems of the Indian, especially the school level education system. So this guidelines will be issued by the UNESCO, Mahatma Gandhi Institute, and responding to the Vizag Declaration on the digital learning. Okay. Next is New Gen Mobility Summit. So this summit has happened in the Manesar, Gurgaon. So who has done it? ICAT, sorry, International Center for Automotive Technology, to share new ideas, learning, and the global experiences. It is located in Manesar, an automotive testing, certification, and R&D service provider. So it will be under the aegis of the NETRIP. Under the aegis of the NETRIP. NETRIP itself is an initiative of the automotive sector, joining hands between the government of India, a number of state governments, and the Indian automotive industry. So this summit itself, the NATRIP itself, is initiative in the automotive sector, right? So it helps India, it helps the automotive sector, it helps as a think tank of the automotive sector itself, how to move forward to provide a state of art tech testing, validation, and R&D infrastructure in the country, right? Okay, so this is the NATRIP. So New Gen Mobility Summit under the aegis of the NATRIP, right? So now we have seen the programs and the schemes. You know that that's the biggest part of the governance scheme. Now we will see the institutions. Now very quickly we will finish out because there are relatively less number of current affairs with respect to this institution to the state government. So the first institution that we're gonna see is National Institution of Ocean Technology, NIOT. So established in November 1993 as an autonomous society, it is under the Ministry of Earth Science. It deals with the basically the very important oceanic stuff. For example, this manganese modules, this deep sea systems. More importantly, the proposed deep ocean mission, which is too much in news. So NIOT will be the implementing agency of this proposed deep ocean mission. We'll cover that when it will be in the current affairs, right? Deep ocean mission. It's very important for this year's prelims. Next, Animal Welfare Board of India. So very important body, is an statutory body made under the Prevention of Corruption Act. You must do the comparative study of the institutions. For example, AWBI versus National Biodiversity Authority, right? So these institutions, NTCA versus NTCA, so similar institutions, but in the environmental domain, but many times confusion is there. WII. So there are many different institutions. So which you need to remember which is the statutory body under which act, who is the chairman, and something like that, right? So aim of the Animal Welfare Board of India, apex body for ensuring the animals are not mistreated. It provides the power of search and seize to the police if he or she has a reason to believe that the offense of the cruelty has been committed to the animal. It was so much in the news at the time of the Jallikattu also. Okay, next is ICAR. National Council for Agriculture Research is an autonomous organization under the Department of the Agricultural Research and Education, that is DARE, under the Ministry of Farmer and Welfare. So ICAR is basically the one-stop point for agricultural research and extension activity as well. In fact, one of the problems in the Indian extension service, agriculture extension service, is the overburdening of the ICAR. They have to do both the works of agriculture research, education, and the extension services. Okay, economic survey itself has said that ICAR is overburdened and we need to give ICAR more resources, more human resource, more capacity building to be done. Along with that, we need some decentralized center. With respect to that, so it is basically a registered society under the Society Registration Act in pursuance of the report of Royal Commission of Agriculture, because it was set up before the independence itself. It is 1929 it was set up, right? Headquartered in New Delhi, ICAR is apex body for coordinating, guiding, and managing research education in agriculture, including the horticulture, fisheries, and the animal sciences in the entire country. So on basis of those recommendations, now ICAR is, for example, these Krishi Vigyan Kendra were earlier, but now a lot of focus is given on these things. For example, many schemes has been launched by the ICAR, like Kisan Biotech, or many schemes we'll see. So that is why ICAR is taking up the responsibility of educating the agricultural, and this becomes more prominent in the times of the climate change, when the cropping patterns cannot remain static. They have to be very dynamic with respect to the changing climate and the monsoonal patterns. So Krishi Vigyan Kendra, Agriculture Extension Center, created by the ICAR and its affiliated institution at the district level to provide the various system of farm support to the agriculture. First KVK was established during the 1974. The mandate of KVK is the technology assessment and the demonstration of its application and the capacity development. So this is the mandate of Kisan Vigyan Kendra, is the technology assessment and demonstration for the application and the capacity development. Now we'll see a few flagship schemes. First is Pradhan Mantri Matru Vandana Yojana. So In this scheme, monetary benefits are extended to all the pregnant and lactating women except those in government service for the safe delivery of their first child. So overall 6,000 rupees are given to the women like that, but this scheme gives 5,000 rupees, 5,000 in the 3 installments. In total amount promised under the NFSA, National Food Security Act, was 6,000. So this 1,000 comes under the Janni Suraksha Yojana. Cash incentive is provided at the compensation for the wage loss. Ministry is Ministry of Women and Child. Okay. Next, the same scheme, Pradhan Mantri Matru Vandana Yojana. Just remember the ministry. Ministry is very important and confusing. For example, you can remember that Matru Vandana Yojana. So mother is there, so Ministry of Women and Child, because there is a similar scheme given by the healthcare ministry. Okay, so development of the government of India, this Ministry of Women and Child. Okay. Next, midday meal scheme, the very old scheme, but why was in news? Because some reporter has taken the photo in the UP of distribution of the dry chapatis, dry rotis to the student, and we will see here what are the different criterias that need to be kept in mind while giving the midday meal scheme. So HRD is Department of the School Education and Literacy, the second department, launched in the year 1995 as a central sponsored scheme. What are the targets? Every child within the age group of 6 to 14, because it was based on the belief that empty stomach, one cannot fill the empty mind with if the stomach is empty. So if someone is not having food, there is no way you can teach him anything. So first, get them some food, right? Also, midday meal act as a pull factor, that the students used to come to the school only for example, parents earlier were not very supportive of sending their children to the education. So if the food is given for free of cost, good quality food is given, parents are also incentivized, okay, then at least send them for the midday meal. So from that, the incentive is so good. It was believed the incentive is so good, so that parents itself send their child to the schools, right? Studying in the class 1 to 8 who enroll and attend the school shall be provided hot cooked meal having nutritional standard of some nutritional standards given. You don't have to remember that, but very good nutritional standard. So coverage all the government and the government aided school, also the madrasa and the maktabs supporting under the Sarv Shiksha Abhiyan. Next, rules. So they were not too much important. The meal shall be prepared in accordance with the midday meal guideline issued by the central government from time to time. The latest guidelines provide instruction on the procuring AGMARK quality item for preparation of midday meal. That means those materials should be used that have AGMARK certification. Now the news which says, like when the news come that such poor quality of food is being given, then it goes to show a lot of corruption in the whole supply chain, right from the person who is supposed to procure it to at the level of the teachers. If midday meal is not provided in a school or any school day, so they have to be given some compensation, right? The more importantly, this school management committee it should be there, mandated under the RTE Act, shall also monitor the implementation of midday meal scheme. Now this committee itself, Niti Aayog action agenda says that the school management committee are defunct, they are not working at all. In fact, one of the reforms taken in the Delhi government is to restore this school management committee with the help of the parents, right? So when these oversight committee, these which will ensure the accountability of this scheme, when these are not working well, how can we expect that this whole scheme will work well, right? Next, National Mission for Cultural Mapping. Ministry of Culture 2017 mission will compile the data of artists, art forms and geo location with inputs from the central ministry, state governments and the cultural body. So what it will be, this mission is all about? It is all about having a database of the artist, of the art forms, different art forms from different places. For example, to bring all the cultural activity under one web-based umbrella through data mapping, right? Facilitating a direct channel for the artist government communication to involve 6.4 lakh villages in the next 3 years. stepping stone towards the Ek Bharat, Shresth Bharat. So cultural mission is, for this year, cultural mission becomes very important because in the um, because in the budget itself, one of the pillar of the budget is, just one second, national mission for culture, right? So the budget itself this year says that puts tourism as one of the pillars of the uh, well-being of the people, right? And within the tourism, they have focused on the museums and the heritage. Too much focus is there. That is why different components of the culture becomes really important. Now we're going to discuss that apps and the portals. The first is Coastal Flood Warning System app, CF Sea Flows Chennai. So basically, the Chennai episode which happened, so they have come up this Sea Flows app, a disaster preparedness decision support system for the um, this urban flooding in the urban areas, the cases of flooding in the urban areas. So we will have this app. It will involve the coupling models of the regional weather forecast, storm surges, so as to we can have the warning system before the whole system collapses of because of urban flooding. We need to have this system, especially at the coast where the problem of the rising sea level, storm surges can become a bit tricky, right? Next is Diksha app, digital infrastructure for knowledge sharing portal. So MHRD functions are digital training of the teachers, record entire life cycle of the teachers. So we will see so many initiatives in the education sector itself. So one of the initiative is Diksha. So basically, it is a digital training. It will cover the whole spectrum of the teacher, national digital infrastructure for teacher. So when he is joined, what study he has done, what is his level of competence, what is his appraisal, right? Um, what are the different location he has worked. So we will have a complete database on the teacher, how many time training he or she has taken, right? So detail, government, private institution, NGO can also participate for all teacher across the nation, not only government teachers. So just remember that, not only government teachers, all the teachers. So it will also create a pool. It will create a pool of database of all the teachers in India, right? Next is with respect to MSME. So basically three different initiative we'll see with respect to MSME. First is MSME Samadhan. So from the name itself, it is some type of grievance redressal mechanism. So it is delayed payment portal which gives information of pending payments with individual as this SPC, SPSC, the central ministry and state governments. So MSME is pending. MSME is providing some goods to the this ministry or central PSUs. They are providing, right, enterprises. So this payment they have to do. Many of times this delay in the payment is a big issue, especially from the government offices. So when this delay is there, so problem for the MSME becomes the cash flow problem. So especially the small MSMEs, they cannot give the services to this government sector, because if the delay in the payment is there, then their cash flow is reduced. If their cash flow is reduced, they cannot produce more products, right? So it creates an inherent advantage for the established MSMEs, and with them, sometimes the idea of crony capitalism also comes into picture. So it will give a they can file the complaint of the delay in the payment, and finally their whole process will be resolved with this portal. Next is Sampark portal. So for this is MSME sector, so it is basically Sampark portal. From the name itself, Sampark means contact. So Sampark means, so there are job seekers and there are some recruiters, those who want people with specific skill set, and there will be some job seekers. So it will connect these two. From the name itself, Sampark means connect. But remember, Sampark is MSME, Sampark portal with respect to MSME. Next is MSME Sambandh. Sambandh means relation. So it monitoring the implementation of public procurement from MSME by the CPSEs, Central Public Sector Enterprises, right? So by the Ministry of MSME. So public procurement, that is by these this MSME produces things and it goes to the this CPSE, and from there they get the money. So what is the process, how many MSMEs are there, whether this project is not only capitalized by few MSMEs, whether it's providing opportunity to all the MSMEs. So all these things will be checked in this portal. So the regulation of the functions of MSME, you can see all the three schemes: Sambandh, Samadhan, Sambandh, and the Sampark. These words can be confusing, right? But if, for example, especially from the students from the area which are not very comfortable with the Hindi words, and this government is coming up with lot of, for example, we have Nirmal Tat Abhiyan, right? So if they do not know that Tat means the bank of the river or the coast, then you'll face a relatively more bigger challenge than the people belonging to the Hindi belt, right? So try to understand the meaning of the words also. Next, e-Aushadhi portal. So Aushadhi means medicine. So Ministry of Ayush. So it is for the online licensing system of the Ayush medicine. So with this portal, you can get the Ayush medicines, right? Okay. So better planning and executing, controlling, online tracking of the drug inventory, streamlining the inter-drug warehouse transfer and something. So for the people who want to establish their shops or something, this portal can be good. Next is credit link subsidy service Awas portal. So Awas portal is there, launched by Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs Ministry for the applicants to track their application for housing subsidy under this. So one of the component of Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana is the credit link subsidy scheme, right? So one of the initiatives under the Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana is this credit link subsidy scheme. So under this scheme, this portal is there. So you have to apply for the loan, and on this portal you can see the progress. Okay. Next is Atithi app. So Atithi app from the itself, it is not clear. You can get it wrong. So remember, it is a mobile app for the launched by the CBIC, Central Board of Income Tax, Indirect Tax, and the Customs, for international travelers to fill the custom declaration in advance. So custom declaration they have to fill in the advance. This will facilitate hassle-free and faster clearance by custom at the airport. Okay. So some object is coming, some goods are coming. So with this app, it will facilitate those at the level of the custom. You can see the app, they also made it Atithi at the Indian custom, right? Next is Shishu Suraksha app. So first of all, it is launched in Assam with the help of the brainchild of the Assam State Commission for the Protection of Child Rights. So e-complaint box will enable a user from all over the state to lodge the complaint against the violation of the child rights. Okay. I think a few months back there was a news that two of the people were released in the name of the child kidnapping, right? So in Assam, this app is launched. I should have kept it in the state government initiative, but it is there. Next is Shala Darpan portal. So Human Resource Development Ministry, Shala Darpan portal. It's an end-to-end e-governance school automation management system for Navodaya Vidyalaya Samiti. For Navodaya, remember that, not for all the colleges. It's a database management portal where the information about the government schools and education is kept online, updated as a continuous process. So again, as I told you, that a lot of portals have been made. Portal, for example, this portal is for the, it will connect all the stakeholders. Shala Darpan portal. So currently they are using, they are testing it on a pilot basis on this Navodaya school, and later on they can expand it if it is become successful, get them feedback, and then they will expand it to the other schools, the Kendriya Vidyalayas and the other government and the government aided institutions. Next, we'll see policy in the news. This one policy was in news, national policy on the city gas distribution. So it is in a draft level. It's in draft level, policy on city gas distribution. So recently, Petrol and Natural Gas Regulatory Board has formed a high-level committee to undertake a detailed review of all the issue to expedite the development of pipe gas network and draft such a policy, right? To speed up the development of infrastructure for the piped natural gas to households as well as CNG for the automobiles and the industrial units. So basically, currently the gas system, the cylinder system, the cylinder, right? So that has to be replaced by the whole pipeline things. In many of the society in these urban air cities, these pipelines are already there. Okay, I don't think that's too much important for prelims, but still worth mentioning. Okay, so they have issued a draft policy on the, for example, in January, after this news, in the January, they have of this after a high level committee in the January, they have released this this policy. Now the funding news, Only one fund was there, Agricultural Market Infrastructure Fund, very old fund, not new fund, for agriculture development upgradation of rural agricultural markets, APMC and the GRAMs. NABARD, you need to remember that. So it will provide the state and the union territory subsidized loan for their proposal for developing the marketing infrastructure. One of the problem in the agricultural sector, so many problems in the agriculture sector itself, right? Agricultural sector itself is very important for UPSC, whether it be schemes in the prelims or the agricultural question in the GS3 in the mains, or sometimes in the GS1. So one of the problem agricultural sector is facing is the marketing infrastructure, the APMCs. Okay. In the budget itself, they have said that model act they have made, they want state to come up with that, come out and have those act. Recently, Tamil Nadu also had it implemented the first that strengthen their marketing infrastructure. Details, state can access this agriculture market infrastructure fund for innovation integrated market infrastructure projects, including through public private partnerships, right? So of 2000 crores it has been made with the NABARD. Okay, the last topic of the discussion, that is state government initiative. First, Kerala government's initiative of FON network, FON, fiber optic network project. So it will provide internet to every household in the state. Kerala on its way to achieve 100% internet penetration. According to report titled India Internet 2019, the Kerala is second after the Delhi. So in Delhi has 69% internet penetration and Kerala has 54%. So Kerala government has decided to give the considering internet as a citizen's right. Okay, you can see here. So Kerala government has promised to make internet access a citizen right. So providing a high speed internet to around 2 million families in the state, right? Next is Manam Inidhu initiative. So it is from the Tamil Nadu government. Tamil Nadu it's implemented in Tamil Nadu by Tamil Nadu Corporation for Development of Women Schizophrenia Research Foundation. That means this initiative is for the mental health. So trained community professionals, member of SHG across the Tamil Nadu will soon be trained as the mental health counselor under this initiative. One of the problems in India with respect to mental health is lack of professionals in this industry. We have very less number of doctors. Overall doctor density is poor, and with respect to mental health, a lot of lacunae are there. And that is one of the reasons why the mental health remains a lot big stigma in our society. In 2017, we have passed the Mental Health Care Act, but still a lot of problem on the mental health care front. The individual do not want to express what they are feeling. They do not know even. They are not exposed to what are the problems, mental health care problems. Right? Next, Kanya Shri program, very famous scheme of West Bengal government, for which Mamata Banerjee has been given the UN Public Service Award. So it started in 2013, conditional cash transfer scheme. So they provide in two categories, K1, K2. Don't have to remember the details of Kanya Shri because it is not a central level scheme. It's a state level scheme, but you need to know that this scheme is from the West Bengal. And for the girls, so for example, from age of 13 to 18, 750 is paid annually, and from after 18 years, one-time grant of 25,000 is paid based upon the conditions that she must be engaged in the academics and she is not married. So UN honors Mamata Banerjee with the highest public service award for the girl project, Kanya Shri. Next, startup area development project, recently scrapped by the Andhra Pradesh government. Okay, so change of guard happened in the Andhra Pradesh. Earlier it was Naidu Chief Minister was there. I'm not sure with respect to chief ministers, but there is a change of guard. Jagmohan Reddy, I think, is the current chief minister. So he has decided to scrap this program. Earlier they were developing this Amravati city, this particular project in the Amravati city with the Singapore collaboration. Now both have decided that this program is unviable, economically unviable, and they will not go ahead with this project. The project envisages development and marketing of the available land in the startup area for offices and other commercial activities to the companies and the institutions across the globe. So, is to provide an infrastructure where the startups from not only country and not only from India but also abroad, they can set up their offices or something. But it is finally scrapped. Next, a very famous hydroelectric project in news, Italian hydroelectric project in the Arunachal Pradesh. Just remember that, Italian in the Arunachal Pradesh. envisaged as a run-off river scheme on the river Drien Tangon. So it is the location you can see here, Italian hydroelectric project. From the location itself, you can see a lot of, this whole area, this whole area is very ecologically sensitive. So the project is under the versus the biodiversity and the environmental impact assessment problems. That is why the project has not been given the go ahead. So who will win this fight? Birds versus, because a lot of hornbills and big very ecologically fragile species are there. Next, east-west industrial corridor highway. So proposed to build on the foothills of the Arunachal Pradesh. Proposed to be built on in the foothills of the Arunachal Pradesh, right? So this is the highway that they are building. Why it is important? Because from the name itself, it is not very clear that where it will be, but it is majorly at the foothills of the Arunachal. Can you tell me the significance? It is at the border level. So you can see the China factor here. So in strengthening our border infrastructure as well, right? Next, United Nations Liberation Front, so also known as the United Nations Liberation Front of Manipur. So it is, just remember, in the name itself, it is not clear. It's a banned insurgent group, but from the name itself, it is not clear which area it is. So it is in the Manipur. Okay, you need to know that. Why it has been news? Because one of the old leaders, this leader has came back from exile from 45 years. For the last 10 years, he was in jail. He came back to Manipur in the after this 10 years. Now speculations are that whether his presence in the Manipur can disturb the Naga peace process, right? So now we have seen the whole session. The things that we discussed, the initiative programs, we have seen many initiative, few institutions, flagship schemes, key flagship schemes we have seen, apps and portals, policies, that city grid policy and fund, only one fund, agricultural marketing infrastructure fund, and the state government initiative, right? So this is the end of your second session of the November. In the third session, we'll talk about the same thing, international relation stuff. Okay, see you in the next class. Thank you.